Alright you guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the one, the only Cradle II from Plasma Blast. Now when this card first came out in Standard, people were just swimming at ways to use this. If you didn't know, Lifesplosion, for each energy card attached to this Pokemon, you search your deck for a stage 2 and just slap it on your bench. That's super cool. However, here are the downsides to Cradle II just as a Pokemon. Thing number one, it is a stage 1 from a restored Pokemon. So you gotta get the Lileep out somehow. Then you gotta evolve it, right? So problem number 1 right there. And when it was in Standard, there was no Broken Time, Space, or Forest at that point in time. So kind of hard to use there. Thing number 2 is that you gotta get energies on it. Like Lifesplosion, if you have 2 energies on it, you're like, woo, whatever, like cool, like here's 2 basics, or here's 2 stage 2s, and then Cradle II would die and you would cry. And thing number 3 is the thing, when Cradle II gets KO'd, all of your stage 2s, when they get KO'd, the only way of getting them back out is to Lifesplosion. You're not going to play basics of all those Pokemon. There's so many stage 2s that you're going to play in a sort of weird deck like this. You're not going to play the basics of those Pokemon. So when they die, you got to Lifesplosion again, and that can be an issue. So, right off the bat, that's why Cradle II might not be necessarily the best deck, but it is one of the coolest decks to look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at it then. Why don't we? So first things first, we're going to be looking at the Cradle II option. It is going to be a 2-1 Cradle II line, just to kind of give you a little bit extra ways to get out Cradle II. I'm going to quickly just look through the deck here. I'm going to show you kind of the ways to get Cradle II out right off the bat. Dropping those mysterious fossils onto there. Going to be dropping the root fossil Lileep. Going to be dropping the strange cave. Yes, so those are the ways that in the deck. There are other ways to get Lileep out, but four mysterious fossils, the max of them. These are going to be great cards to take a hit in the early game while you're trying to charge up Cradle II. Promoting these up there and having your opponent not take any prizes, forcing them to get like a Lysern or Guzma. Root Fossil Lileep looks at the bottom 7, and it's really easy to get this Lileep on the bottom of your deck due to Battle Compressor and due to Cradle, for instance. You can level ball for this Lileep, and then Cradle it back to the bottom, and then Root Fossil Lileep it out. So really easy to get it out there. And then we're also going to play Strange Cave as our stadium. Strange Cave says once during each player's turn, you can put a Lileep onto the bench from your hand. So all you need is a stadium out and a level ball, and boom, there's the Lileep. So those are the ways to get it out. We'll keep that in mind. 2-1 line for consistency's sake. And then the only other basics that we're going to play, I'll show you the basics and some other stuff here. We will be playing Shaman and Mewtwo. Shaman here for Celebration Wind to try to get as many, if you need to get more grass energies to like Cradle II mid-game, like Shaman's awesome. Oh, mind you, it only costs a grass energy, but you can use as many energies as you want. So if it was a grass and like 4 fire energies, it still gets 5 out. So Shaman is awesome because once you have all those energies on there, you can bench Shaman to move all your energies around. And then Mewtwo is actually one of the cards you don't see very often, but it is in it wasn't a Cradle II deck that I built for the Elite format. It's a different format that we made long ago. If you have any questions about that, just ask away. But I used this Mewtwo in that Elite format, and what it does is you choose one of your opponent's attacks, and they can't use it the next turn. So if you have this out against like your opponent's Spiritomb, they're not going to be able to use that Spiritomb. It's pretty awesome. So just kind of a way to stall in the early game. And then the only other basics that we're playing are all the ones for the support Pokemon, so we'll just go over that right now. You got Baltoy going out there, you got both of those Porygons going to there, and then we have Lapras and Uxie. If you'll notice, there is no Dunsparce and there is no Spiritomb. Spiritomb because, while it slows down your opponent, it's really hard to get this Lileep out without using items. So we don't want the Spiritomb in the active because outside of Strange Cave, there isn't any way to get out Lileep without playing items. So we don't want to play Spiritomb, and we don't want to play Dunsparce because there's not very many basics that you want out anyways. This is the only one that either doesn't evolve or doesn't have an effect when it comes into play. These you don't want to get from the deck. These all evolve, so Dunsparce is also kind of useless in this deck. So, really, the only things that you can start with, and this is kind of another downside of the deck, these 7 Pokemon right here are the only ones that you can start with. Yikes. Which one do you want? Mewtwo's the only one, because the rest of these are kind of sketchy. So I would think it would go Mewtwo, and then definitely, you want to start this, then you want to start these 3, then you want to start these 3. So There's that for the other Pokemon, but now the moment you've all been waiting for, because you're like, hey, shut up, Alex, I want to know what cards I can get out with Cradle. Well, fear no more, because here are all the Stage 2s that you can get out. There are, let's see, 9. So the 9 Stage 2s that we consider to be, quote-unquote, the best Stage 2. We're going to go type by type. How about that? I am just teasing you even more at this point. And I know that's going to kill you, but I'm shuffling them up in my hand just to give you even more tease. Okay, so grass typings. First ones, we're going to be looking at Jumpluff and Jumpluff. The Jumpluff deck is, in our opinion, one of the top 4 decks, probably even maybe the best deck in the format. It's very, very, very good, so it kind of makes sense to play both these Jumpluffs. You have the early game and the mid game covered just by these two alone. And since you're already playing grass energies, it makes sense to play grass Pokemon. The only other grass Pokemon we'll play is going to be the Decidueye GX. Now it's really cool because since you're not evolving it and it's coming into play due to an attack anyways, you don't lose your turn. So playing a Stage 2 GX is super great in this deck. We actually only play one other GX Pokemon, but if you're looking at playing more different Stage 2 GXs, this is like the best way to do it. The problem is like stuff like Primarina, stuff like Incineroar, that sort of thing, like they need other stuff to get it to work, whereas Decidueye is just a free 20 damage every turn, really puts some pressure on. And then 90 damage for 3, nothing to shake a stick at. You're already playing grass energies, slap a DCE, boom, you're good. So that's it for grass Pokemon, for what you're accelerating. Fire Pokemon, there's really only one. It's going to be this Charizard from Evolutions. All fire energies attached are now any type. So, you can do cool plays where you shaman all the energies over there and blow something up with Fire Spin. This is really in the deck just as like a one-shot machine. It's really hard because it does discard 3 energies to the Pokemon, so it's kind of hard to reuse over and over again, but you'll see that we will be able to in a second. Charizard. We're going to play Empoleon. Makes sense to play Attack Command with Mass Attack. Both these attacks are super, super good. This is an EX, so it's kind of a little bit not, not super awesome, but Diving Draw to have built-in draw support is also really good. Lightning Pokemon, here's the Vikavolt, and we are playing Vikavolt GX as well. This Vikavolt has Strong Charge, so what you can do with this Charizard is accelerate the 2 energies there, attach from your hand, and do 200, and then if it doesn't die, attach from hand, accelerate 2, bang. So that's how you get this Charizard attacking over and over again. It does require a lot of stuff. These other attackers only attack for 1 energy, so, and this only attacks for 1 energy as a great attack. I love Gigatron GX's attack, 60 to everything on their side. That mixed with Razor Leaf is going to be kind of detrimental to a lot of other things. You can prep all of their bench sitters with Razor Leaf, and then that one turn that you're going to Gigatron GX, you got it. Speaking of Gigatron GX, it would be great when you mixed all 60? Habam! Dusknoir is awesome too because you go 60 to all their Pokemon, and let's say they have a full bench, that's 360 damage to work with they're active on Dusknoir. That's going to take a lot of knockouts. So you have the option of going I'll explain that in a minute, but yes. So Dusknoir is another one for Gigatron GX, is going to be great. And then last but not least, the Proxy is kind of flying out of the sleeve here, so give me a second. You're going to take out Machamp. It's another Pokemon that attacks for 1 energy and can take a lot of cheap knockouts. There are a lot of decks in this format that just attack for 1 energy. So Machamp is no different. There's a lot of Pokemon in this deck, or in this format, that are basics and that have a lot of basic cool things and that sort of thing. So take out Machamp. That was the worst way of explaining that. Take out Machamp's a good card, period. So, a couple combos that you can create here. I would say this is the first one, obviously. Like, if you can only Lifesplosion for 2, this is a good one. If you can Lifesplosion for 2, you could get double Jumpluffs out. You could get Jumpluff and Empoleon if you're only going for 2. If you're going for 3, Vikavolt, Dusknoir, and Vikavolt. Getting these 3 out if you're Lifesplosioning for 3 is awesome. You can also go for 3 if you're going here, just to keep your typings grass so you're not having to do a lot of stuff. If you're going for 4, if you're Lifesplosioning for 4, which is awesome, I would recommend going Charizard, Vikavolt, at least one of these 2, and maybe Decidueye. Dusknoir becomes a lot less valuable in those situations because you're going the one-shot route. So Dusknoir becomes a lot less valuable if you get this combo out with something else. So a 1 energy attacker of some sort, just to mitigate when the Charizard dies. Plus maybe Empoleon for the Diving Draw, maybe Decidueye, if you ever get 5 out, it doesn't really matter what you get out. I would just kind of say that that's the only real reason to get Dusknoir out is if you're going the double Vikavolt combo. If not, if you're ever Lifesplosion for 4, you're going to go the one-shot route, so Dusknoir is less of a thing. And if you're only going for 2, like I said, double jump left to have that early jump left pressure, double mass attack sort of thing, or even just like mass attack Dusknoir and then hoping your Cradle doesn't die. So anyways, that was most of the video just on the stage 2s. You might be wondering what else is in the deck. So let's go ahead and go over that. It's going to be a really long deck profile here. Supporters. We're going to have an AZ in the deck. This is mainly just to get stuff off of your bench, because if you AZ a stage 2, it's going to be really hard to put back on. So you could even consider Brimies, but AZ is a good way of like preventing your opponent from taking those EX knockouts on your big GX Pokemon. Sure, you can never like put them back down, but like, hey, you know. Baby Search, kind of staple there. Chorus, Copycat, Guzma's back, Hexmaniac. You do see a Kiawe in this deck. You may be wondering, like, what the hell is Kiawe doing in this deck? That's kind of silly. It's so that if you go second and you get it off turn 1, you can put your 4 on your leap if you have it, and then next turn touch a Grass Energy, and boom, you're Lifesplosioning for 5. How cool is that? That's why we play Kiawe, because the early game Kiawe on your leap forces them to either take the knockout on the leap, or you're going to Lifesplosion for a whole bunch. Karina, staple stuff there. Lysander Strum card, all staple. You have Mallow. Mallow gets a little bit boosted. We could play, oh, yes we do. We do play Mallow and Oracle. Usually you don't see both in the deck, but the reason we play both is because we're playing Polion. The diving draw is really, really busted with both of these. Mars Request for some recovery. N, Juniper, Oak, and Sycamore, all staples. Rocket's admin. Sage is training for extra draw support. Skyla, teammates. Trevor. Now Trevor's in this deck as just an extra way to search out a single Pokemon. You really need to get that Cradle going turn 2. And then Wally. All that stuff. You can actually Cradle turn 1 if you hit the nuts, but you're probably only going to Lifesplosion for 1, maybe 2 if you hit that double rainbow. So that is just something to keep in mind. That you can just go off, and so that's why we kind of have that there. Moving on to items, you're going to have Acro Bike, Battle Compressor, because there's going to be a lot of stage 2s that we don't need. Once you Lifesplosion, if you're like, oh, I don't need this, if your opponent's playing like a heavy evolution deck and Machamp's not going to be useful, you can Battle Compressor that away. Bill, Computer Search, Escape Rope, all standard stuff. Evo Soda, Imposter Oak's Invention, still all staple. Item Finder, Junk Arm, Level Ball, Lux Ball, all staple stuff here. Misty's Wrath. Mr. Fuji, you'll see this in this deck because you want to try to Lifesplosion for the maximum amount. So if you have something stupid like a Shaman or a Lapras or an Uxie on your bench, you want to try to get that off the field so you can Lifesplosion back on. Pal Pad, Pokemon Communication, Professor Oak, Scoop Up, Super Rod, Ultra Ball, Versus Seeker, and Windstorm to round it out. Plus, like I said earlier, you do play the 4 Mysterious Fossils, plus the Roost Fossil, Laleep. Those go in the item sections as well. So Mr. Fuji, the only thing that's not staple. The rest of that stuff is very standard stuff. I can't think of really anything, like maybe like a Max, no, not even Max Elixir. Never mind, forget I said anything. I was trying to think of like extra ways to get energy onto, you can even play like an Ether. If you're really worried about your energy items, you can play an Ether, because you can combine that with like Mallow and Oracle. I don't know. But anyways, stadiums, you're playing in the Strange Cave, Broken Time Space to get your stuff out earlier, and then a Sky Field so that if you're worried about the bench space, you can Lifesplosion for even more. You could consider the 4th one of a Forest of Giant Plants, just to get your Cradle out faster, if you're worried about that. Moving on to tool cards. Floatstone, one's good enough. Muscle Band and Choice Band, just for some extra oomph in your deck. Thinking now, actually, just I'm going to completely backpedal here. Going back to the Pokemon, if you wanted to, if you thought one of your stage 2s was more important than the other, something like, actually a good one would be Jump Off since you're playing 2 of them, or another good one would be Charge-a-Bug and, what's the other, Grubbin. If you wanted to play those, playing like a 1-0-1 line or a 1-1-1 line of those isn't the worst thing in the world, because you could Lifesplosion them out, or you can manually evolve them out, and that's not a bad idea. It would put more of a stress on Forest of Giant Plants being a good thing in your deck, because both of those are grass typings. So, just throwing that out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all pretty stable. No reason not to play any of the Elite Four or anything. And then your energy count, there's quite a bit of energies in this deck, actually. And the one problem with this deck is trying to figure out the energy count. So, special energies, we're going to be playing a Rainbow, a Multi, a Double Rainbow, a Boost, a DCE, and a Blend. Now, the reason we're playing all of this is because it is a rainbow of attackers. Double Rainbow does work on your benched stuff because it's a non-evolved, right? To an evolved Pokemon. Never mind. So this is going to be, sorry, forget I said anything. This is strictly going to be for Cradle. Boost Energy is going to be for Cradle as well. That's all you can really attach it to. It's just a kind of Lifesplosion for more turn 2. And then all the rest of these are for your attackers. DCE is going to be really good on that Charizard. And the rest of those are Rainbow type energies to attack with. And then as far as basic energies go, 4 here, 3 here, and 5 here. You're playing Rainbows, so like having that one grass energy attachment to your Cradle, you have different options. You have this, and not that, but you have a couple options for your Cradle. You just need one grass energy. 4 fires is fine. The reason we were playing 4 is strictly only for Kiawe. There's really nothing else that the fires are going to benefit for, so it's just to kind of get that maximum Kiawe off. And then lightnings are in there for the Charge-a-Bug, or not the Charge-a-Bug, the Vikavolt. So yes, that's it for that deck. If you have any questions, please let me know. Cradle is kind of weird, so I encourage a lot of discussion on this deck because this is probably not the best way to build it, but it is a good starting point. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.